Joining us now is Executive Director of the McCain Institute and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Russia, Ukraine, and Eurasia, Evelyn Farkas. Evelyn, thank you for joining us. I want to ask you, not all this aid is out the door yet. Even that of, even what's been approved still has to be administered to Ukraine. Is there a concern that that could get stopped with the next administration? And Ukrainian officials have already said they're scaling back some of their attacks because they're running low. How far will this aid really go?
Well, Christina, I think that there's no reason to be alarmed at the moment. In fact, the things that we've been seeing and hearing coming out of the Trump camp probably are a little bit more on the reassuring side. President Trump himself said something about any deal can't leave Ukraine alone, or his words were not exactly that precise. I think he understands that he needs Ukraine to keep the fight up in order to put pressure on Russia to come to the negotiating table and make a deal that all sides can agree to.
Right. That has been the issue. There has to be something to negotiate over. And American officials have said they need Ukraine to have enough territory, enough holdings to go to the table from a position of moderate strength. Trump has previously bragged that, he said he could end this conflict in 24 hours. But on Monday, Russia rejected some of the peace proposals that have been kind of floated by allies of President Trump. So I'm wondering how you see this playing out and if you expect the president-elect to back away from that claim as reality hits the road a bit.
Yeah, Christina, I think, this 24 hours, 48 hours, it's not realistic. Vladimir Putin needs to be convinced that President Trump is not on his side and is not going to offer him some sweet kind of deal. And that, frankly, President Putin, is going to have to accept the fact that any deal is going to include a security guarantee for Ukraine. And that's the part that they're resisting the most because, of course, the Russians want to continue the war, or at least continue it as long as it takes for them to conquer Ukraine and reduce it as an independent sovereign state.
As this war drags on, there's been big casualties on both sides. But, the estimates are hard to quantify. But the estimates for Russian casualties are anywhere between 10,000, 20,000, maybe up to 100,000. That's going to start to be felt at home. And it already seems to. There's reports out of Moscow this morning saying Russian people are losing enthusiasm for this so-called special military operation. At any point, do you see this conflict becoming a liability for Putin, or do you think he has enough of a handle on his population and his messaging that it won't matter?
Well, Christina, I think it's already a liability for him. Inflation in Russia is running at 10%. The interest rates, the bank announced, will stay at 21%. As you mentioned, manpower problem is pretty severe, so severe that Vladimir Putin accepted an offer from North Korea for tens of thousands of North Korean troops to fight on Russian territory. He doesn't have much leeway. This is not a popular war, and it's not going to get better for him. So I think he's already facing a lot of internal pressure, and he wants Trump in because he thinks that, time is not on his side the longer the war goes on. And that's why, of course, it's important for Ukraine to be able to continue to fight.
I also want to ask you about just that, these North Korean forces. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un praised Vladimir Putin and the ties between the two countries in his New Year's greeting. And that's coming from North Korean state media. But the U.S. has said Russia is basically deploying human waves of North Korean soldiers in the fight. What is North Korea getting out of or hoping to get out of this relationship? And are these soldiers having any impact on the trajectory of the war?
Right. Well, it doesn't seem like the soldiers are having a major impact. Most accounts say that the Russians have retaken some of the territory that the Ukrainians seized, obviously with the help of these North Koreans, but they have not taken it all. So the Ukrainians continue to hold on to a really important negotiating chip. For the North Koreans, what they hope to get is, I think, technology, a transfer, so know-how from the Russians in order to improve their ballistic missile, their satellite space capability across the board to be a bigger threat to the United States and our allies, frankly. That's what Kim Jong-un is hoping to get. It's unclear whether he's gotten anything like that from Putin yet, but that's the long game for him. And of course, as long as he can keep the people in North Korea in the dark about what's happening, and in terms of what's happening to the North Koreans who are dying in Russia, he can continue. But there will probably be a limit to that as well.